All right, and we are live. Welcome, unbelievers and my friends alike. Not that they're different, but anyways, today I'm talking with the Atheist Rationale, and he's going to tell
Well,
us
we
his
got Echo.
deconversion story, and who knows what else will come into the discussion. We were just talking all clown about his believing that the pterodactyl Civil War picture was real. That was pretty funny. But anyways, Mr. Atheist Rationale, holy crap, troth mumbles. Take it away, man. Tell us your story from, the first time you sort of started realizing that this belief thing was nonsense to where you are now as an atheist activist.
All right, man. So I would say it's a pretty long story because where it all starts is my parents got divorced when I was 3, right? And then she had my dad had a stepmom move in for a big majority of my life, probably up until like 6th, 7th grade is when she finally was kicked out. She
Right.
was super hyper religious. However, I wouldn't say we ever belonged to any sort of denomination because how it really worked out after at least we moved to the city I'm in now is we church hopped until she found a church that she that fit the way she believed, and she was kind of crazy too.
Okay.
At one point, towards the end, she
What do you
started
mean crazy?
believing. Towards the end of her living with us, she started believing that she was talking with God and Jesus, and she kidnapped us under that whole belief. It's kind of a weird story. I've talked a little bit about it on other streams. A few years ago, after finally working up the courage to talk about it, I got diagnosed with PTSD. It's still something I'm working through, but it's crazy. I've got a lot of weird experiences at churches that I've been to over the years that she's taken us to, and like I was saying before, some pretty catalyst experiences with her, among one that kidnapping experience being one of them.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, dude. It didn't nothing really got crazy until like I moved here to Bakersfield though, because my dad ran his own business and he'd be gone for weeks on end and would only come for like maybe one weekend out of the month. And she believed real hard that Bible verse, except she, used that normal spin that people have with it, that fucking spare the rod, spoil the child thing. And she was real physically abusive for a while. She also had all these weird justifications for like hatred of like LGBT people, and like she was incredibly racist too. But that's its whole other thing. I'm getting sorry, dude, kind of just choking up. I told you it might be a little weird. I do promise though, I'm not one of those like cliche stories you hear those creationists talk about. It's not all sobs and whatchamacallit. But
You
it
don't,
sure sounding
in
like
other
that
words,
right now.
well, yeah, they always say that atheists are usually just mad at God because of the way things have been going for them or something, which isn't always the case.
But really, it was these experiences that kind of opened my eyes to how ridiculous religion is, especially the fact that every church we went to had like a different idea or a different interpretation of like how things went. And like, if every single church has a different interpretation, and how exactly can you figure out which one's right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So at least that's
I
one
think
of the...
there's a much better answer for that question. How about none of them?
Exactly. I mean, when you start digging around the history, and you find out that it was written by a bunch of people and it was translated hundreds of times over, and there are no original copies. History kind of just spells it out for you that it was kind of all invented. Um,
Yeah.
another big thing for me was the fact that it wasn't the first religion. There were tons of what's it called? Other religions before it. And most of the stories, or at least some of the stories, could be considered like direct plagiarisms of other ones, like the flood story
Oh
from
yeah.
the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Oh yeah. And there's at least three other ones, even before the Epic of Gilgamesh, dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um, I couldn't
There's many like
point to
that.
them
I mean,
directly right now, but right off the top of my head, at least.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, sure, we could always just look up and find all the ones, but there's also the story of the Moses one where he's put into a basket and floated down the river. Well, apparently that same story was also belonged to Horus. I think Horus had the same thing happen to him. And
Yeah,
and
that's pretty crazy.
and
I didn't know
Noah.
about that though, but I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I believe there's one. I can't remember where I read that, but also the Moses parting the Red Sea is very similar to Osiris. I think it was Osiris, anyways, who used to take his concubine women or whatever, like his little slave women out on the water, and he had a one in particular that was his favorite, and she lost a little trinket that she wore over the side of the boat, so he lifted the water up so she could get it. Very similar story like that there as well. Instead of parting, he lifted it though. So we can see where these ideas come from for these newer belief systems.
Oh yeah, and it almost seems like every like new religion is kind of based off something else. Even like all of these like weird new age beliefs that kind of exist right now, they're all adaptations of like stuff from in the past. I mean, like Islam
Sure.
is. I kind of have this like really stupid joke where like Judaism is a trilogy. You got Judaism is the first movie, Christianity is the second, and then Islam is the third because they all worship like the same God. But it's a dumb joke, but it's kind of fun.
No, I hear you. Yeah, it's they actually gave those names too. I can't remember what it was. One was like Return of the something, and it was almost like Star Warsian type names. Which is pretty funny.
I haven't seen any of that, but I don't doubt that it wouldn't have been an original joke.
No, every time we think we've got something original, we can always find that someone else has thought of it first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyways, carry on, man. We kind of sidetracked, but that's all right.
All right, so I was kind of jumping all over the place. First off, I apologize for that. So, like I said, I was pointing out all those like weird things that kind of I went through. Before moving to Bakersfield, though, a big part of my life, probably from like when I learned how to read up until like third or fourth grade, I read the Bible kind of like every single day. I don't know how to explain this. I read it basically every single day, anytime that I could, before I went to sleep, for reading time in class, during lunch. People made fun of me about it real hardcore, but I have a tendency to get obsessed about things and dig my head in pretty deep for a while. It's kind of why I haven't made any videos in the last couple of weeks. But in doing that, I began to ask a bunch of questions. I went to this Pentecostal church called First Assembly of God, and they had this thing called Royal Rangers, and I started to ask. Yeah, it's like Boy Scouts, but with a religious spin. I guess Godless Iowan was in it for a while too. It's kind of cool that other people kind of share that story. Shane actually pointed me out to a really cool documentary of this guy's deconversion from about 10 years ago on YouTube. Forgot the dude's name though, but it's a really good series. He could probably point to you if you want to watch it. But
cool.
Where was I? Yeah, I'd ask these people questions, but you'd never get complete answers, and also all of their answers would be different. And then you go to church. Go into all those different churches, was kind of crazy. And then, like I said, she was kind of racist and incredibly homophobic and stuff because of her beliefs. And one of our last church experiences, actually, just trying to put it into timeline, I apologize. One of our last church experiences actually was kind of terrible. One of our pastors pulled all of the male members out of Sunday school and brought us all to like one classroom. And he seemed to single out a couple of individuals directly. And it was very subtle. He didn't use their names or anything, but the way he was looking at them throughout the entire conversation and that kind of stuff kind of signaled that he might have been talking to them rather than the entire crowd.
Right.
And they just began like preaching from the Bible, all of the reasons why like being a homosexual is like wrong. And it was very hateful and directed and embarrassing, you know. It was super terrible. And this is before like I had access to like the internet or anything, and even then I was still a little bit brainwashed, but I can sense that something was wrong. And like I already had doubts because of all that kind of stuff going on. And yeah, it was just kind of crazy. And then yeah, so maybe I should talk about her hearing voices and stuff. So my stepmom, she had something called gastric bypass surgery. And what this does is it removes a large portion of your stomach so you could eat less and lose a lot of weight. What people don't know is that it also affects your gut bacteria. And gut bacteria actually affects your mood and behavior a lot. Yep. Not a lot of people realize that. And if you remove a huge portion of your stomach, it kind of fucks with that. Not only that, she also had a meth problem. So you kind of on top, you add on top amphetamine psychosis with this gastric bypass issue, and you get somebody believing that they're hearing God and Jesus talk to them. She, on more than one occasion, she woke us up at 2 a.m. in the morning to chase my dad down because she thought he was cheating on her. And she drove us all the way from Bakersfield, California to San Jose at 2 a.m. in the morning just to confront him. Oh, yeah. And
where was
he? He probably was, but it doesn't kind of take away the fact that God and Jesus was telling her that it was happening. He was at my mom's house, like my real mom's house, staying there while he was working for weeks on end. He didn't have like an apartment or anything out there. He usually stayed at like friends' houses or hotels and stuff. My family is really weird. They were really shady, and most of them I don't talk to anymore. Just my little brother and my mom sometimes, and my nana. That's basically it.
They're the ones that you keep in contact with the most, I suppose.
Yeah. Everyone else is similar to my stepmom. Let's just say that. Not as crazy, but definitely just as weird.
That can't be easy to deal with.
It's not really. But I still get through. I'm going through college. Everything's pretty awesome. What's cool though is after those experiences, like I was left in a lot of doubt, right? And then I started going through high school, and I would have these conversations with other kids, and they tell me why they didn't believe in God, or like they'd have all these like logical arguments, and they bring up like science and stuff, and I correlated to everything I was learning in class, and it would make a lot of sense. All these, you can't have light show up if you don't have a source for it. Like it says in Genesis, there's light before the sun's even created. And you can't have a universe that's almost 14 billion years old if, you know, the Bible says 6 days. None of these things connect. And I mean, obviously you have like things like the flood story where, I mean, there's 3 different things, but it's always like the 2 animals. There's no possible way you can get every single animal from all over the planet to fit in that one little tiny boat. Well, tiny by numerical standards compared to all the animals, and feed them all. It just, none of it makes any sense. And
Of course not.
you start learning about all this in high school and elementary school and stuff, and then it only casts like further doubt on the subject. And then my buddy Jared in my freshman year in high school pointed me out to The Amazing Atheist. And then from there, it kind of just spiraled into me watching a bunch of different YouTubers, from like Dark Matter 2525 to Jacqueline Glenn to you name it. I've probably watched them. It wasn't until I started hearing them give solid reasons and show evidence, or speak logic, or give logical arguments, that finally like solidified that atheism in me. You know what I mean? I mean, I've always had like a doubt, but it wasn't solidified until I finally found other people that really shared all the same feelings that I do, and then gave me reasons to believe the way I was feeling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you hear these other people talking, you're like, fuck yeah, I thought the same thing, or I feel the same way, and it sort of further awakens you to the fact that there's many other people out there that feel like you do about this situation. The only problem is, even as, I don't care how logical your arguments are, arguments in general are never really evidence. They're still just arguments, right? So that's why I guess we can't really say either way whether any deities exist, because nobody can prove it either way. We can throw out as many logical arguments as we want, but at the end of the day, none of it is actual proof of anything. They're just strong arguments against or for something, right? So
yeah, it really is. I mean, I wish I could articulate my reasoning a little better than I am right now. Just a little shaken up from like remembering all
I
that,
hear
like,
you.
Crazy stuff, dude. I'm sorry.
Take your time, man. Take your time, dude. I think we can all identify with something that would make us feel the same way about our families too, right? Well, most of us. I mean, I have some shit that I haven't shared with anyone that would put me in the same position you're in right now. So
yeah, and there's still a lot like I haven't said, but for another day. I don't need to bring that up right now.
Right.
Yeah, there was just so many things that like I would hear them say, and then like I'd already connect, and like I kind of like I told you before, I get really obsessed with things, and I got really obsessed with like space documentaries. I've watched probably like 50 different ones on black holes that say the exact same thing in a different way, but like it doesn't matter. Every once in a while, I'll still go on those tangents, just search like science topic on YouTube, and then you find a bunch of like documentaries and stuff. And
I've watched a shit ton myself. They're all awesome. I love those documentaries.
I'm still subscribed to like all the science YouTube shows, like everything SciShow has, Crash Course. Hank Williams is the man. Vsauce, Veritasium,
PBS Spacetime.
Fuck yes, that guy's awesome. Science Asylum's pretty good too. He's kind of quirky, even though he's a little less not as well known as the other ones. But just as much as all these atheist YouTubers like helped me out of it, they really did too. Because what they did is they pointed me in the direction of people like Carl Sagan and James Randi. And there's 2 books by Carl Sagan that really made their mark on me. And that's Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors, which is his big evolution book. all the stuff he says about bonobos, or however the fuck you pronounce it. I never could do it.
Bonobos. That's right.
That stuff just blew my mind. The fact that they have like a tribal nature and act like so human-like. Some of them even like have sex for pleasure or have harems. It's insane. It's almost like they have their own culture too, because like different bonobo like tribes in different areas will act completely different than other ones. And people say we aren't animals. Like if you need proof of evolution, there's your proof right there. They're one of our closest relatives, and they're one of the most human-like animals there are. I mean, they may not have like the same type of like language skills that we do, but like
they do have their own language.
Exactly. Yeah. So. I mean, I don't have the knowledge or the credentials to. I'm kind of dumb, but still, I'm just saying that as a joke.
I've heard you speak before, dude. You're not dumb.
I'm saying that mostly as a joke, but
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah. So self-deprecating humor. It's fun every once in a little while. You got to be a little self-aware.
Yeah. I do it all the time.
Yeah. It's just my opinion, but the thing that I really think that separates us from like those primates that are like closer to us on the genetic tree or whatever is that language. And if they had a more language development, they'd probably be just as smart as us. But that's just an opinion. It's not really based on a lot of things. I mean, not based on too much, but based on enough. It's like an educated guess.
Yeah. So there's people in the comments here. So
yeah, it's all good. Kind of lost where I was at though. Oh yeah, we're talking about Carl Sagan.
Yes, we were.
Shadows
you said the one book that you liked. Yeah.
And the next one was I always forget the first name of it. It's Science is a Candlelight in the Darkness. I probably butchered the little name, the name of that one too, because there's so many sorry. There's so many things in it that I just kind of had to burp. There's so many things in it that like speak out to you. Like when he says that we are all star stuff. I mean, I know it's repeated in Cosmos and stuff, but in the book, it just comes out to you so much more. Especially when you have your imagination playing on it. And then his baloney detection kit that's in the book is fucking great. The way he explains the origins of all the beliefs of like aliens and ghosts and stuff is amazing, and how he debunks all of it, and it's just so cool. It
Are you talking about Demon Haunted World?
Yes, that's it. Demon Haunted World, Science is a Candlelight in the Darkness. That's like the whole book title.
Yes.
It's the last part that always like comes out to me the most though.
And my grandfather bought me that book way back when I was a kid, so because he knew I liked Carl Sagan.
For me, I was homeless for a little bit, and I got a bunch of books from the library and just kept reading. Oh, that was a lot of fun.
I was homeless too, by the way, for a little bit. I lived in my car.
I was living in a friend's car. They had a real weird situation, and I wasn't allowed in the house because of their personal life situation that I'm not going to go into because I feel like that'd be messed up.
Yeah, well, that's really none of our business. So.
Yeah, but when things changed, they helped me out a lot, though. And if it wasn't for them, like I probably wouldn't be in my own apartment or going to school. And it's not that I just needed some stability is all. I got kicked out for my 18th birthday, and
bonus.
Yeah, like I said,
wrap that shit for you at least.
Probably would have made it a little softer blow, but no. It wasn't too bad. Like I said, I've had some hiccups here and there, but it's not too bad.
All right, so when you were okay, let me see if I can ask this properly. If you when you were dealing with all this stuff with your stepmom and your family and whatnot, at what point did you decide you were going to tell them that you're done with all this religion stuff because you see what it has obviously done to some of them?
Well,
And how did they react to this? I'm guessing they kicked you out, obviously, but
I didn't really tell Karen. Karen's the stepmom's name until
that's my real mom's name.
Here's the kicker, right? Like I told my dad about all of the abuse that she put us through and stuff, and for some reason he forgot about it or whatever, and just let her back in the house and to take care of us while he was at work, just to start the whole situation over again. And like fucking, I usually try to be like as nice as I can to people, even if like there's something that like annoys me. But I don't think I was ever meaner to anyone than I was when she came back. And I still kind of feel bad for it because I know now why she might have been the way she was. But at the same time, it's a lot. I told her that I was an atheist while we were fighting one day. And honestly, it was a huge relief. I mean, I already knew that I didn't believe in like the Christian God anymore. But I never said that to anyone until she came back to our life. And after that, I didn't hide it. I told my dad and everybody at school and stuff. And most people, in general, most people didn't care, or at least the people closest to me. My dad and I would have spats in every now and then, especially if he'd watch like a documentary that like I could easily debunk, and that was I don't know, something on History Channel, because you know how History Channel channel's been, and he and I would get in arguments over it. He and I would get in arguments over it rather than just have discussions, as much as that was what I'd rather have. But you're just like, he was of the opinion, like, if you're a kid, you're always wrong. So
yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Although I'm not a kid anymore, but
wasn't really able to get my opinion out too much. Which is why YouTube is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they can't stop you.
Yeah. And I got sidetracked. Fuck, what was the joke? I mean, the question.
About your family reacting to you telling them and stuff.
Yeah. So Karen obviously didn't like it. I mean, it's probably known. Dad and I, we would have arguments, but only when I would, talk about it. My little brother, he's an atheist too. He didn't care. My older brothers, they were quiet around about it around my dad, but for the most part, they were an atheist until my brother Aldo, adopted brother Aldo. I have like 6 brothers and 4 sisters, and 3 of them are like adopted. My dad was kind of weird. Karen, my stepmom. Karen, my stepmom, actually is like the mother of one of my brothers. So I don't know. My dad got around. Yeah, they mostly
pretty fertile too.
Yeah, they didn't really care until none of my brothers cared until, like, at least Aldo didn't until he converted to Catholicism. Then we'd have like spats every now and then. Whoa. But that wasn't much of a big deal. And then friends, girlfriends and stuff, never had any issues. At work, I, for the most part, have never had any issues, but also I don't like bring it up too much. I started bringing it up a lot when this YouTube thing came up because, like I said, I get obsessed about things, and I tend to talk about things that I get obsessed about way too much. People probably noticed with the new IFB shit. and everybody there has been real supportive. What I've told them outright, or from the very beginning, is that the only thing I don't like about religion are the people that use it to take advantage of people. I understand that there are interpretations, however cherry-picked, that do help people, and if it's helping someone, all right, but at the fundamental level, it's always going to be harmful, and there's always going to be people taking advantage of them, and that's just not okay. But as soon as I tell them that it's that extreme end that I don't like, they usually ignore the rest of it, and they're okay with it.
That's okay.
Yeah, most people are generally cool about it. You just have to tell them something that probably goes against what they would perceive an atheist to be. They assume that they just hate it. Most people take that stereotypical belief that an atheist probably just like hates religion and God and everybody, and they're evil and satanic, and even though that doesn't even
they eat babies.
Exactly. But as soon as you tell them that, you know, it's this one thing that you don't like about religion and that's why you don't believe it, they tend to just not give a fuck. It's cool.
That's what I always tell people. So, you know, it's I don't hate religious people. What I hate is when some fundamentalist religious people get into positions of power and try to influence the rights of others. Then I have a problem, and that's when I speak up, right? So
the people I usually bring up are like Jim Bakker or any of the faith healers that have been around. Because, like I said, James Randi was a big guy for me. And
oh yeah. He used to go live on TV and debunk these motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, all the, like the psychic stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm just remembering that one guy with like the weird haircut. He looks like he's one of those like court gesture people.
I don't remember that one.
I don't remember who what his name was, but he claimed to be like telepathic and tried to move like sheets of paper with his mind. And then James Randi put a bunch of styrofoam peanuts.
The guy was a martial artist, that guy. And he'd go down and he'd be there like this. Yeah, you might be, because this guy had like the gi on and he had the crazy mustache and shit, and he gets down there and he's
doing this. Because it wasn't Uri Geller.
No, Yuri's totally different. I actually
he's the
met
spoon
Yuri.
Guy. You did?
Yeah, a long time ago in Israel.
How was that? I'm kind of interested.
Oh, fuck, I only talked to him for like 2 seconds. Well, you're that spoon bending guy. How you doing? Shook his hand, and then that's back when I sort of believed that it was possible, so I really didn't cut into him or anything. So, yeah, he was just at a coffee shop, and we just happened to be going through Tel Aviv, and he was there. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting. Shook his hand. He's a nice guy, but yeah, now I just laugh when I think of him, so. Yeah.
It's kind of hard not to when
this motherfucker.
It's kind of hard not to when you have like all of those videos on YouTube that just flash in your head every time his name comes up, or maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
And something else.
He's tall, that's for sure.
It's kind of good that like these people don't get as much recognition as like they used to. It'd be pretty fun to like follow in James Randi's footsteps a little bit. I guess there's like mediums and stuff that are out there right now though, and they get a lot of ground. On one of my
taking advantage of people.
I got a sock account, a couple of different sock accounts that I use to like scour for content, and each one is based off a certain like subject. I guess I have like one for religious stuff, and then one for like extreme like right-wing ideology stuff, and then another one for like wooey things. And yeah, I've been collecting a lot of medium stuff lately, or people that are channeling spirits and aliens for some fucking reason. It's great. I just have to think of a way to make a good video out of it, and I'll probably talk about it.
That'd be a great idea. I'd watch that. That'd be funny.
There's so many things I want to do that I haven't just figured out yet. The video editing software.
I think maybe best to sit down and come up with like what's the word I'm looking for? Not like a type, but like oh shit. Yeah, I had the word 2 seconds ago, and I can't even think of it. Anyways, like different types, like different topic type videos, and do one every other day during the week or something like that. And then you can tackle all that stuff that you've done one at a time, right? Or that you've downloaded or found or whatever.
I think I know what you're talking about, like an upload schedule for like each kind of subject.
Yeah. Something like that.
To be honest, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I just started this on a whim, and I've been just what's the word? Just coasting, just coasting.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a word people say that like when you're just doing things. I just can't remember the turn of phrase right now.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Unplanned.
We're both in the same boat on
that one. Yeah. But I'm trying to change that up a little bit. I seem to have like a good thing going on right now, and people seem to be responding to it, so that's kind of nice. Not when they see me in these weird live streams though, where I can't talk.
Well, it's different when you're live, right? Because you haven't scripted anything, right? So sometimes you just get a little tongue tied or something.
Exactly,
like that, so. Which is fine.
The way I
have no
film,
reason to be nervous. So.
The way I film things too is like I'll do it like line for line or like phrase for phrase, and I'll sit there and film the same thing over and over again until I get it right enough in my head. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it makes sometimes it makes a videotaping process that should probably take an hour take like 5 or 6 or sometimes a couple days. I'm a perfectionist and I'm not even perfect. I think I pissed a couple of people off with that too, probably. I apologize.
Maybe, I don't know. Just saying hello to a few more people that have shown up in the chat there. So yeah, I'm doing good, Casey. Thanks for asking. Shane said to say hello too, by the way, Sean. So
hey, Shane. Shane's awesome. He's been there from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's like I keep telling him, the guy's like an institution in all the videos. He's like everywhere. I think he's got clones. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure there's clones.
For a quick second, I thought he might have just been like a bot. Like
you're not the first to say that, you know.
But nah, Shane's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got to be one of the most supportive people that I've come across in the atheist community. Always there, always got a smile or a wave or something, right? Saying, cheering everybody on and stuff, which is absolutely fantastic. So
for sure, I don't think there's
lots that are like that.
Yeah, he hasn't commented and complimented, which is really nice.
We actually have a lot of good people like that in the community, so which you've probably noticed by now.
Oh yeah.
I'll be honest, I was overwhelmed by the amount of support that I got from people I didn't really even know until I started jumping into some streams and getting to know people, right? So, but it's been an awesome trip, and everyone, a lot of you people that are watching right now, like Tatted Atheist and Staggerson, and people like them have inspired me to start doing these types of videos. So, and I'm sure you felt the same way when you saw some of the stuff that people were producing within our community.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been watching, like I said, for almost 10 years before Teenage A's weird banana incident. Even, big influences of mine, I would say, would have to be like Rationality Rules, or at least past the people that were around 10 years ago. Rationality Rules, like Genetically Modified Skeptic, Cosmic Skeptic, Godless Iowan, Surus, and Viced Rhino are my all-time favorites. Are like biggest influence. And I don't say that in a way that everybody else like sucks, because everyone else is pretty awesome too. But They
These
were
are
the
people
main
you noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I remember
I
the
mean, my
first
name,
time I saw a
to
Rationality
be
Rules
honest,
video, and it was just like, wow, holy fuck, this kid's smart.
fuck yes. I love the way he's puts every argument out. I mean, he points every single like fallacy out too and explains to you what it is, and it makes it so much easier to follow, and it really exposes the bullshit when you're looking for it, and it's great the way he does that. Honestly, I kind of ripped off my name from him and the Amazing Atheist and mashed it together.
Plagiarism.
Atheist Rationale is the Amazing Atheist and Rationality Rules put together.
That's all right. Nobody would have known that unless you told them. So
Probably not. It's close
no,
enough. I mean, it's different enough.
That was good.
It's
Yeah,
different
exactly.
enough for it not to really be known.
That's right. That's right. I mean, when I saw your name, I didn't think either one of them. So
I remember when I first started, I was in a Discord server, and I think I threw one of my videos in Cirrus's like self-promotion thing, and somebody was all like, "Wow, this guy has a totally original name." And I'm like, I was thinking of changing it, but nah, it's cool. I like it. I'll keep it. I dig it.
Staggerson wants you to say Iowan again.
Iowan.
Yeah, you were saying it differently, I think, before. Which kind
Godless Iowan.
Yeah.
Did I say it that time?
No, you said it right. No, that's actually the way. But you had said it a little bit like Iowan or something like that earlier.
My voice gets a little weird after drinking soda. I think all that fructose corn syrup gets stuck in the back of your throat.
It's fucking with me tongue.
Should really start drinking water when I'm streaming.
No, all you need is down some Pop Rocks with it.
Pop Rocks are the best. Somebody gave me them last time I was working. I was talking with a customer with them in my mouth. It was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just Pop Rocks."
That's hilarious.
Main boss wasn't around, so couldn't get in trouble. It's all right.
I remember there was an old urban legend about that Mikey kid. He likes it. Hey, Mikey, the Life cereal kid, had died because he ate a whole bag of Pop Rocks and then chugged a Coke, and apparently his throat blew up. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that would happen. God.
So that's the origin of that Bo Burnham joke.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know who he is. He has this song where he talks about stabbing his cereal box open with a knife, snorting that shit, and getting high off life.
I don't think I've heard that, but yeah, that was an old urban legend. So
it's hilarious.
Turned out not to be true because he's still alive, and he came back. He's like, no, I'm not dead. I'm right here.
No. Probably wouldn't die from that anyway.
All right, so how about we talk a little bit about what made you decide to start to become a little bit more of an activist once you finally threw your faith away?
Would probably have to say there were a couple of things that like really pushed me out to it. One of them has to be some of the fucking teachers I had in high school. I had this one math teacher who was very like ultra conservative, and he would push his beliefs on everyone, which is weird because these are impressionable kids where well, if you were in honors and AP classes, you'd have them from your freshman year all the way through your senior year, and I was in that little club, so you would hear it every single year you had him for math, pushing all these crazy ideas that most people would find crazy today. And I'm trying to like pull examples out of my head, but like for me, I usually play an entire scenario out before like I can get it out. I have autism, and part of it is like a weird way of like retrieving memories. And
Okay, sure.
anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, my high school teachers. Mr. Rainier was real big on like an ultra conservative. He would constantly talk about like abortion and how we shouldn't have any free health care or
Oh wow.
what's it called? All of these kids with welfare that have these really expensive smartphones, when in reality, if you think about it, they're getting them at Metro PCS and they're probably $50 and they're not the phone you think they are, because all of them look exactly the same other than the size basically, and maybe a couple of button placements. And from far away, you don't know what the fuck kind of phone you're looking at. But he would still say that for some reason that he would connect having welfare and having a cell phone as like you shouldn't even have been on welfare in the first place, completely ignoring all of the factors that go into needing welfare in the first place. And I was one of those people. Like, my dad came down with a heart condition, and he lost his business, and my stepmom that I talked about ended up embezzling basically all of the money from it. And my dad said spent it all on the drug habit, but I'll never know. But
that's pretty shitty though.
Yeah. And yeah, so I was living on welfare, and like he would talk about how people didn't need it, and every month my dad would talk about how we could barely pay our rent, and there's nothing extra that we can do. And even though my dad had a smartphone, or actually no, I was working at the time. I've basically been working since I was 14. I did this door-to-door newspaper selling job, and I had a cell phone, and I was one of those kids. And like, well, I worked for my own thing, and I'm on welfare, so I don't really fit your little niche here. And if I don't fit your niche, I'm pretty sure there's tons of other people that don't fit this niche, and you're full of shit. And him and I would get in spats all the time. And
one dude's uneducated opinion, buddy. That's all it is.
Yeah. So him and I would get in spats all the time. And because I'm in, conservative, as the only little conservative pocket of California, Bakersfield, and the students would usually chime in on the teacher side, and I'd be the odd one out. But that's fine, no big deal. What was really fun, though, is there was another teacher who taught government and economics, who also ran this little Christian club called Fist Bump for Jesus. And of course,
Fist Bump for Jesus.
Yeah. The thing is, in high school, even though you got to pick some of your classes, you still didn't get to pick your teachers. So, of course, me, the only real out there or out of the closet atheist, I guess you can say, gets lumped in with the crazy teachers. And he would do these weird, he would incentivize students to go to Fist Pump for Jesus by issuing extra credit. And I voiced my opinion on why that was basically wrong, because if you have other students in there and that don't believe the same way or aren't Christian, not necessarily me because I'm an atheist, but just anyone that isn't a Christian isn't going to go to your want to go to your Fist Bump for Jesus, and there's no way that they're going to get extra credit. So you're unfairly you're unfairly boosting the Christian kids while keeping everybody else down. And
well, yeah, I mean, it's fine to have this group, but don't do it as an extra credit, because that's unfair.
Yeah. So when I mentioned earlier that everybody in my close circle didn't really give a shit that I was an atheist or anything, when I would mention it in like classroom settings, the reaction was totally different. Like I said, in one of these Fist Bump for Jesus spats, I mentioned that I was an atheist, And every student, well, not every student, there was only like a few of them, but they all turned around and were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't believe in God? I was like, didn't you go to church when you grew up? And I'm like, yes. But I also got beat every time I asked questions. So I don't know if that's something you want to follow morally. If
Yeah.
People are weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know why the hell they would beat you when you have questions. That just seems kind of silly.
My stepmom is, like I said.
How about you just answer the question and fuck the violence? What's wrong with you?
No, nobody in church was like that. I should clarify. I mean,
Yeah,
it was my stepmom. Yeah, I mean, I know there's churches out there that will beat you if you question them, especially with all of this old IFB stuff I've been digging up with a couple of people. But that's a whole other story all in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You gonna share some of that on one of your videos?
Well, we're like I was when it comes to this IFB stuff, we have a couple of people kind of working on it, and also I probably don't have the best tact, so sir, honestly, I kind of Cirrus put the little team together, and Cirrus is kind of like the lead of it. I did most of the research. I got a jumbled 30-page document of a bunch of things I put together, and some of it needs to be refined, but I think I have enough evidence put together to show that the new Independent Fundamental Baptist group fits the BITE model almost tit for tat. They might not hit every single check, but it's only one or two that they miss. You know what I mean? And with that being said, there's also a lot of real serious things, real severe things that go on in that group too. I mean, you hear about some of the stuff on YouTube and some of the stuff that's hit the media, but that's just scratching the surface. It's fucking deep. It's real deep.
I imagine.
Yeah. And I barely figured out what inside versus outside doctrine is. And luckily, yeah, I kind of thought it was, for a little while, that it was just creating a us versus them narrative between like your organization and the outside world. But really what it is you have one doctrine of beliefs that you tell the outside world, that you show. And then on the inside, you have a different doctrine of beliefs that are usually much darker than, and not as out there in the surface.
You mean personally?
No, it's kind of like that whole Hillary quote where you have like a outside persona and a public persona and a private persona.
That's what I mean, like you personally.
There's public doctrine and private doctrine.
Discuss. Yeah. That's more what I mean.
One of the big things,
you're referring to it as a person that has this.
Yeah. One of their big things in the new IFB is this once saved, always saved bullshit. And they'll tell you that as long as you find Jesus and you'll go to heaven no matter what and everything's okay. But they also have hidden doctrines. The one specifically coming to mind right now, reprobate doctrine, which says, which basically boils down to, if you don't believe exactly the way they believe, you must either not be right with God and you didn't really give your heart to him, or you are, your mind is giving up to what's called your soul's given to what's called a reprobate mind, and you go crazy, you're psychotic, and you'll be gay and have sex with animals, and you're gonna go to hell no matter what, and there's no chance for you to be saved. And really what they do, what that is though, is they use it to fucking silence any opposition and throw out anybody that challenges them. And there's videos on that too. So I have a lot of it linked out. I have a lot of it linked out and not a lot of it cut, unfortunately. Cut and clipped out, you know what I mean? But like I said, a 30-page jumbled up document that needs a little bit of refinement.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to have videos like this on your channel coming up? Or?
Yeah. And the only reason I wasn't mentioned in Cyrus's video was because I got a little paranoid because there's a lot of mob shit that goes on with the old IFB for victims and stuff. Like they've broken into houses, slashed people's tires, and sicked private investigators on them, sued them, extorted them, a bunch of crazy stuff. And probably shouldn't be saying this live.
I doubt any of them are watching, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, so I got a little spooked about all that stuff, and then I asked Cyrus not to like put my name out there or like have my voice and stuff on there. And I was honestly the wrong thing to do because like I'm all out for exposing them. The thing is, though, I also don't want to promote them. So I have to figure out a tact that helps people stay away from this organization, shows people that it's a lot more evil than what's shown on, you know, mainstream media. But I also have to do that in a way that it doesn't come back to me or doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, doesn't promote them, and the only outcome is helping people. But that's hard and not exactly at my how should I say that? Writing level. I need to bump a couple grades in English before that'll happen. I could do calculus in high school, but I was lazy enough to skip all the essays and still get C's to pass.
Wow. I always found calculus to be kind of fascinating, but that's because my grandfather was a calculus professor, so I kind of had a little bit of an edge there.
Oh, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. I got some of his books.
My only claim to fame really is only going through half a semester because, like I said, I got kicked out for my 18th birthday and shit kind of went haywire. But I still got there in high school, which is kind of a lot more than what most people do. Probably not, or at least here in California, or my school at least. My little bubble of existence, it was like that.
The boy in the bubble.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I can't speak for the outside world. I'm pretty sure it's a lot.
Well, I was going to say in regards to you talking
places.
about, I was going to say in response to sort of you saying you didn't want to bring them up or promote them in any way. If you do videos about what they are really behind the scenes and stuff like that, and you do it in a way where you're not revealing who you are, you know, like Logic or those other guys that use avatars and stuff like that. You could do that. I'm
too far in. I've already doxed myself, like my very first video. I mean, I didn't give my last name or anything. That's not out there. But I also said where I live and where I go to school. And yeah. That's probably not the best thing.
No, maybe not.
Not obviously my exact address or anything, just my city. That's why I've haven't felt too bad about saying Bakersfield, but
people are smart though. They can figure shit out, right? If you know your name and your school, they can find out where you live. But
you only have to watch a couple of stories about 4chan to figure that out.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, we're closing in on the hour here, my friend. So is there anything else you wanted to say before we shut her down and start the after party?
Honestly, no. If we want to take some questions from the chat, I don't think we did that. We can do that.
Yeah, we can take a few minutes to do that. Does anyone there have any questions that they'd like to ask, Sean? Feel free to do that.
I do want to say thank you for doing this. It's been a lot of fun. And,
thanks for coming on. I always appreciate it when people are willing to come on and share these stories, because as we saw with yours early on, it can be a little bit, I don't want to say traumatizing, but it can stir up some emotions when you think of some stuff that's happened in the past.
Oh,
And
yeah, for sure.
It does the same for me, because it reminds me of instances that I had happen too. Just over the years, I've become a little bit better at controlling my emotional breakouts and stuff. So,
I'm still working on it. I'm in counseling and therapy.
I
do have 3 cats. Only one of them is really a kitty, though, if you want to call them kitties. Right now, she's a little conehead, though, because we just got her fixed, and she's unfortunately a little too rambunctious, and she's got a seroma. We were really scared that was like a hernia. I get them mixed up with another thing. Yeah, a hernia. And luckily it's not, but we're still keeping her isolated for now, so just in case. Yeah. This is my cat, Tiana, who's in camera right now. She heard me talking about her, so she came up.
She's got to put in an appearance.
And they got
name, I got to be flashy. Yeah. Oh, is this live? Oh, shit, I'm out of here. Christy, hi.
I'm just kidding.
Beelzebub's like, oh, dude, don't divulge that information. I think he's referring to you telling them who you were and where you live and shit. And yeah. Shane says to say thank you. Oh, you can see them too, so I don't know why I'm reading them.
Yeah, I got my side chat going.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess nobody really had too many questions. So what we'll do is we'll
show a little thing about flushing water or rushing water. Flush the toilet. Yeah, you can hear his name.
That's funny. What we'll do is we'll shut this one down and we'll start up an after party. So as I usually do, I let the people in the chat know that if they are interested in jumping into the after party, they can let me know through a DM on Twitter. If you don't have my Twitter, then post something in the chat and I'll see it before we go. And then you'll have to actually tell me your Twitter handle too if you are on Twitter, and I'll send you a link to that. Or if not, let me know through Facebook or something. Because it works anyways, or either way. Thanks again, man, for doing this with me. It's always a pleasure to hear these stories. And of course, my intent is not to make somebody feel emotional. Well,
yeah, no problem, dude. I told you a couple weeks ago that I was probably going to share some weird things, and I might act a little awkward. But yeah,
I didn't find any of it awkward at all, because we all have had stuff in our lives that affect us in sometimes traumatic ways. So if we're willing to and able to share them, I think that helps us in the healing process. And I think that stories like this help others who might be on the fence in deciding which side of that fence they really want to be on. So,
yeah, for sure.
Religion-wise, right? So I think all our voices matter, and the more of us that are speaking up about this is better. So again, thank you. And yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you. By the way, there's a weird question that keeps coming up in the chat, or at least I've noticed it a few times scrolling back. I don't get this. Staggers and Jazz, please elaborate. Also, I'm almost 24. I'll be 24 at the end of the month.
Of course, you can join in, Duke. And Reese said, if you want a mildly drunk rushing water sound, I have no idea what you mean there, but yeah, you can join in too, Reese, if you like. And Staggerson, I think he wants to come in too. He's always fun to have. He's only been in a couple of mine, so it's kind of cool when he wants to join in. Anyways, just send me DMs on Twitter and I will post the link to the new one. Give me about 5-6 minutes, because I got to go use the washroom and I got to grab it. I'm out of beer. This is my last one. By the way, I saved this just for our conversation today.
Nice.
Not that really means anything. But,
I wasn't taking it the wrong way.
Oh no, there was no wrong way intended at all. But I do have my stash can, so maybe I'll have a hoot. Again, man, thanks so much for doing this. It was a pleasure having a chat with you.
For
I
sure,
learned a
dude.
little bit more about you, and so that every time I learn a little bit more about somebody, I always feel, you know, just a little bit closer to those people as friends. So it's always good. And thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching and sticking through it. I know sometimes things can be a little on the draggy side, especially when both of us can't remember what the fuck we wanted to say at the same time. It can be kind of funny though at the same time. So there's the humorous edge to that. And stick around if or look for the new link. I'll post it on Twitter for the after party, the actual one that people can watch. And anyone that wants to join in, just send me a little DM, and I'll send you the link, and we'll get her going in probably within 10 minutes or so. So thanks again, everyone, for checking in, and thanks again for you, Mr. Atheist Rationale, plagiarizer of other names. It's been a lot of fun, and like I always say,
I'm gonna change
at
that.
the end of these
Change my
things,
Twitter handle to that.
yeah, the plagiarist.
The plagiarizer of other names at the Atheist R.
Yeah, there you go. No, you don't change your Twitter at the symbol thing. Just like I did.
No, I wasn't saying change the at. I meant the one
the
before
name
it.
Right.
Yeah, I just
right.
I just said the whole thing, you know, to be complete.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Plagiarizer of other names at the Atheist R. Yeah.
We have like Fenrir, the eater of gods, and we've got Sean, the plagiarizer of other atheist names.
Exactly.
All right. As I always say at the end of these, remember, kids, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.